Queen of Scots! As you can probably tell, that is not my actual accent. So that's one thing I have in common with the real-life Queen Mary. We both didn't have a Scottish accent. But that's not the case for this film because it's historical fiction time, children. Mary Queen of Scots follows the real-life Mary Stuart, and I use real life loosely, over the course of her reign as Queen of Scotland. So this movie is getting flack for not being historically accurate to portray Mary as more of a sympathetic and push a feminist agenda, and honestly, I can say that I don't really care. Honestly, I call bullshit on any film that displays the words based on a true story, since any entertaining film is going to take liberties to make a more focused story over a documentary. As far as I'm concerned, any film is a fictionalized fantasy unless proven otherwise. Then again, documentary really isn't the bar of telling whether or not something's accurate or not.
It's time to go behind the curtain and discover the soul of the Democratic Party.
From an actual documentary, allegedly. But the question is, do these changes affect the story? Yes, and not in a good way. See, it turns out all the problems between Queen Mary and Elizabeth was all because of men. Curse us men and our penis having! When will we stop ruining everything? Now these themes are worth exploring in this setting, but it requires a bit of a daft touch. This movie has no subtlety. All the men are either conspiring to usurp the women in charge, or are whining entitled dicks, or Mary's gay best friend. It makes it impossible to take it seriously. This is borderline Neil Breen levels of social commentary.
Now that we've paid off our fellow elected representatives in the legislature, that environmental solar panel development bill will fail next week.
Not to mention the cash it'll put in our pockets.
I'm so sorry, but due to the poor economy, we're going to have to lay you off. We all had the best of intentions of improving the nation's sustainable energy systems and environment, but the corruption and greed in big business and government just won't let it happen.
The result is that Mary is way too idealistic to believe as a protagonist. See, the men marry to steal power, and Elizabeth is forced to become more of a man to give up her happiness to keep hers. This is an idea worth exploring, but it needs a writer and a director with a sense of subtlety to actually pull it off. The result is that Mary is too idealistic to believe as a protagonist. She's too pure and innocent, allowing religious freedom for everybody, forgiving her gay best friend for sleeping with her husband, having a slumber party with her handmaidens and puppies while the evil men plot and scheme. If you want to see this concept of a queen being too idealistic and it's usurped by a conspiracy which seeks to take her power away from her, this was handled way better in Game of Thrones. Easily the best part of this is Margaret Robbie as Queen Elizabeth. Her words carry a great deal of weight, commanding respect while also showing her vulnerability and insecurities over her lack of children. Unfortunately, we don't really get that much of her. See, this whole thing was kind of built up that this was like the connection between two women, two sisters, torn apart by war. But we don't really see that. We just see how Mary's structure basically crumbles from within. It's a shame we didn't get enough Robbie in this, because you get to see what the film could have been like if the rest of the film had followed her as an example. In conclusion, Mary Queen of Scots handles his feminist ideas with the subtlety of an axe to the back of the head, distracting from what could have been a fantastic story. So in all, 5 out of 10. And I'll just conclude by saying Margaret Robbie was way too good for this film. Take care now. Bye bye then.